Fala pessoal, eu sou o Tony Ayex, editor-chefe do Tem Mais Disso Que Amigos. Há alguns dias a gente esteve em São Francisco, nos Estados Unidos, para conversar com o Green Day. Essa entrevista que você vai ver na sequência é exclusiva do TMDQA com o baixista Mike Dirnt, e ele falou bastante sobre o novo disco Revolution Radio, Brasil, inclusive mandou um recado pra gente em português, e você pode ver tudo isso na sequência. Divirta-se!
Hello.
My name is Camila.
Hello, Camila.
I'm representing a Brazilian music information website called Tenho Mais Discos Que Amigos. Something like
Rolls right
I
off the
have
tongue.
more records than friends.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having us here today.
Yeah.
We really appreciate and we really enjoyed your new album,
Oh, thank you.
Revolution Radio.
Yeah, thank you.
So we have a few questions for you.
Okay.
So first one is, Bang Bang is the first single for the album Revolution Radio, which was well received by the public, and considered as a back to basics to punk rock. Was this something you guys looked for in the new album? After launching a series of concept albums and a trilogy, did you feel it was a time to go back to basics?
I think, well, when it's only me and Billy and Trey in a room, it's pretty basic. And I think that sort of energy, like in a song like Bang Bang, a lot of the energy that you see in Revolution Radio, it's very much naturally what happens when Green Day get into a room together. And there was no thought in front of it. We just wanted to get into a room and write songs and really, actually, Billy had written a few songs first before we started jamming them. And I think the important thing is just to get into a room and be in a good headspace.
Okay, good. And the song deals with sad events of recent mass shootings in the US. And Billy said that it comes from the perspective of a mass shooter, influenced by the excess of social media. How the external environment, politics, and contemporary society influenced the new album. Although it's very personal, it's also a reflection of what's happening in the US nowadays.
Absolutely. I think, you know, we took a nice long break, and when you get enough time off to really stop and listen and hear what's going on around you, and reflect on it, I think that's the key. Long enough to reflect on it. I mean, that song Bang Bang was written 2 years ago, or approximately. And I feel that's where you really, and the problem has gotten worse and worse all over the place. But again, it's just reporting on what he sees going on in the world around him.
Okay, great. Revolution Radio begins with Somewhere Now, and before the ballad Ordinary World, it closes with Forever Now. These two songs still have a remaining epic air from American Idiot and 21st Century Breakdown, but at the same time they make reference to old Green Day songs. Do you understand that this great sonority, great sound came back to stay? How do you understand it worked when mixed to most of the classic elements of the band's sounds that were recovered in the new album? I mean, the album sounds like a great visit to all stages of the band, and that's absolutely amazing.
That's a good, thank you. That's a very good analogy of it, and I think it is. I think this album is as close in the writing process as we've been to Kerplunk, you know, in forever. But one of the things that we really like, we've learned especially since American Idiot, we're a band that started with albums, with vinyl, and we love albums. You know, so when we write a record, we're not writing 12 tracks, 13 tracks. We're writing an album, side A, and we think of it as side A and side B. And what's the journey? And, you know, Somewhere Now is very much an introduction, whereas Forever Now we like the idea of an epic conclusion to a story, and that's what we were going for.
Okay. So other strong elements in songs like Somewhere Now, Bouncing Off the Wall, and Youngblood, which is very good, refer to the classic rock and roll. From the Kings to the Beatles, and with a bit of traces from Leonard Skinner, there is something that sounds like vintage in this new album. Have you listened to any of these songs during the composition?
No, there's no direct correlation with anything. I think we just look for classic melody. You know, I think there's a simple test that I always say, if it passes the campfire test, it's a good song. In other words, if you guys are hanging out around the campfire or hanging out at the beach and somebody pulls out an acoustic guitar and that melody still sounds good and everybody can sing to it, then you've written a good song.
Okay. The last few years were really intense for Green Day's personal side. Billy went to rehab, and you were accompanying your wife in a cancer treatment. And Jason also dealt with the cancer. So how was it for you to accompany all these things happening in the lives of your longtime friends? And how did you deal with your personal issues during this period?
Well, it's everybody in the world has shit they're going to have to go through or that they're going through. And you really realize that when you're in the middle of your shit. I think one thing that I've gained from a lot of this is perspective, you know, and how I want to live my life and how I want to go through my challenges, and what kind of person and supportive friend and you know, husband, friend I can be. More than that, even, you know, there's trying not to be morbid and go, man, I didn't know anybody who had cancer, anybody who'd been through all these issues, and now I know everybody. So I finally got to the point where I was like, you know, I get it. You know, at some point we say to ourselves, you know, I'm going to die. But the important thing is to say, not today.
Great. Okay. In addition to the social tension, U.S. is now under a turbulent election period. And it also shows up on the disc. Donald Trump is seen as an extreme candidate with policies that are unfavorable for minorities, but there are a lot of rejection for Hillary Clinton also. And several people even saying that both are the same thing. So how do you see the political scenario of the U.S. elections, and what do you think about the two candidates? Can you talk about that?
Yeah, I don't think they're both the same thing. I'm not voting for anybody. I'm voting against somebody. I'm voting against Donald Trump, just because he's a very scary person. I don't think he cares about anything other than himself. Other than that said, I don't know. You know, Hillary carries a lot of baggage with her, you know, from her husband to policy to all sorts of stuff. It's a pretty shitty time, you know, and it's, you know, we saw a great candidate in Bernie Sanders. You know, I thought he could have made a lot of change happen, or at least had his head on correct. We'll see where we're at. I think the important thing is to engage in some way, whether it's conversation, it's your vote, it's getting out and marching the streets. This is the first time we've seen anybody marching the streets in a long time in America. You know, people are starting to realize, wow, if I don't vote or if I don't get out in the street and say something, my rights are going to be, you know, not only are my rights going to be trampled on, I might get murdered, you know. So things are, yeah, they're different now, and I hope it's different for the better soon.
Yeah. You're releasing an album with political and social criticism. So Prophets of Rage was created basically just for it, and many artists have positioned themselves politically or in one way or another. So how do you think art can influence this?
Well, I think one thing is not to position yourself on any particular side so strongly that you lose the ability to be objective. And I think artists should be objective. I think they're the ones that are they're gonna give an honest reflection of the world around them, hopefully. I mean, that's the sign of good art, is a search for a deeper truth. And if you give an honest reflection, people can tell that that's an honest thing, and it resonates with them. I think that starts conversation, and conversation is the beginning of politics of any sort, personal politics, and it carries forward, and that's the beginning of change.
Great. In this period of inactivity, some remarkable things occurred to Green Day's career. First, you guys reunited with Also Bronte and played together as With Children, which has not happened in decades. Second, the band entered the exclusive Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. How can you describe these experiences and how they influenced your energy in the studio with the new album?
Well, I would say the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame thing kind of snuck up on us. It was a welcome, surprise, but it definitely snuck up on us. And I feel like that's the first time Green Day's ever really stopped and looked back for a long, and really taken stock. And we haven't talked to our first drummer in forever, and really taken a long look and appreciated where we've been and all that we've been able to accomplish, but all that we've been fortunate enough to have. And I think it's created an overwhelming sense of gratitude that has carried forward into Revolution Radio. If you listen to Revolution Radio, it's not only reflective, but you can tell that there is a sense of gratitude throughout the record by virtue of the meaning in the reflection of the lyrics.
2016 has been a year of rebirth of the pop punk, a style where you guys are often named as one of the main names, if not the principal name. Blink-182, Sum 41, Descendants.
Hey, don't blame me.
And you're coming back with a new album, and there is a huge scene of bands playing in this style and releasing good records on the underground. So what do you think of this movement 22 years after the explosion of Dookie and other records and similar bands? How do you understand that big bands like Green Day can expose good releases to smaller groups?
Well, I think that, first of all, more music's good. Guitar is not guns. I think that's important. But for me, I guess for ourselves, we want to leave some sort of lasting, indelible impression. And there's a little kid inside of each one of the members of Green Day that just, loves what we do. Man, I still think of getting on stage the same way I did when I was a little kid. It's an exciting thing. That said, I don't know. There's going to be I've always said it, there's a lot of great music going on everywhere right now. Some kid in his garage is writing unbelievable songs right now. And I've always had faith in that.
No, great. Can we hope for a Green Day's concert in Brazil for the releasing of Revolution Radio?
Absolutely. Yes.
Good.
Can't wait. Yeah.
Sure, perfect. So, a personal question. It's really nice, every little detail that involves Oakland Coffee, especially your community support program and your commitment to sustainability. How did you start this?
We're coffee fanatics, and we've been importing coffee for like 10 years, just in small batches for fun. And then Billy called me one day and said, let's make some coffee, let's put some out. And I said, okay, well, first of all, we were making the best coffee we could drink. Well, we drink a lot of different coffees, but there's a popular thing in the Bay Area, in the States right now for, it's either burnt coffee or it's really tangy and all orange peely, And I like a rich chocolatey cup of coffee. We all do, and so so we know what we like, and we wanted to share that with the world. But if we're going to do it, it was a learning process. We went, oh wow, you can't just package this as easily as you think it is. You can. So my partner and I, we flew around the country and met with the right scientists and stuff, and now we're able to post or package our stuff in a more sustainable way. And that's the thing. I already have a bunch of CD jewel case guilt. I don't need to be making garbage.
And how about the frustrators? Can we expect anything new?
Gosh, whenever we get together, we just write really fast and we knock things out, and it's just the way we've always done it, even a long time ago. If I ever have some time off again, me and Terry are very good friends, and we'll get together and bang something out for sure. Yeah, cool. Someday.
Do you have more records than friends?
Do I have more records than friends? Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Well, I don't know. It depends. If we count the Green Day family as my friends, then I have way more friends than records, and that's okay.
Cool. And last one. Can you send the Brazilian fans a message?
Yes. one, we can't wait to come there on tour. Number two, muito obrigado.
Muito obrigada.
You've been very good to us every time we come there. We love it. And number three, I have never been robbed
Oh,
at the Olympics in Brazil.
thank you.
That is bullshit.
Okay, thank you so
All right,
much.
you got it.
Thank you.